Well, welcome to the Monday Money Tip podcast. We're so glad you're here. My name is Megan, and I am fired up to be one of your co-hosts, and I am joined by my other co-host, Joe Sangle. Happy Monday.
Thank you. Happy Monday. I am fired up.
Yeah. It's chilly outside.
Woo! I love it.
Do you
It's
like
awesome.
when it's cold?
Love it. Love it so much.
I'm not a fan. I like it for like a month, and then I'm like, man,
I'm with you on that. There is a term limit on how long I love. And I will tell you, I particularly love winter until probably the end of January. It starts wearing on you.
I'm the end of December.
I think partly because it's dark so much and it's just like,
It's just depressing.
Now, the beautiful thing in South Carolina, by April 15th or so, man, I'm telling you right now, what I love, I moved to South Carolina and moved here from Indiana. It's just stunning. February the 2nd through the 10th is when daffodils are blooming already here, and it just stuns me every year. I love it. The first year I thought, global warming is really happening down here. But I just realized that's how it is in South Carolina. It's awesome.
Yep.
So today we're going to talk about something that's really important, and it's about 3 mistakes that will make and keep you being broke. It'll keep you broke. And no one wants to be broke. We want to help you avoid that. And so let's go through these 3 things, help some people today.
Yep. All right. So the first one is spending without a plan.
Okay. Now listen, some people define broke different than we do. So broke for me is not total absence of money. Broke means not being able to do what you're called to do. And so I want to make sure you understand that there's a nuance there and there's a big difference. Now there is that my son calls it brokey when you have no money, you're brokey broke, right? So spending money without a plan is a big way that people end up broke. Right. It's a huge mistake. I really like to think about this. If you own a business, and I do, and you have a manager who helps run the day-to-day, and we do. We have a leadership team, and they have responsibilities. And I went to them and said, Craig, Matt, Ken, Whitney, Chad, what's your plan for us to make profit this year? We are a for-profit entity. And if they looked at me and said, you know what, I don't have a plan, I'm just going to wing it. Well, we would have a very special conversation.
They'd be winging it out the door.
That's right, yeah. I'm going to use that. That's real good. I'm going to have it taking those wings and flap right out of here. That's good. I'm going to use that. But listen, here's the deal. The plan is really a superpower.
Yeah.
Have you said superpower lately?
Jordan uses it a lot to describe me, which I always find it very flattering, and he's so
Jordan,
kind.
You have such a way.
He's such a good husband, but he says I'm like a superhero.
Superhero, yeah. You are a superhero. But the plan is a superpower because every superhero has a superpower. You know that, all of them. So and really the plan when it comes to fully funded life, that's the superpower. So if you want to live a fully funded life, dun, da, 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 superpower is a budget.
Maybe Jeff could put a cape on you.
Da, 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 da.
Our producer.
Flying.
Put a little cape on you. We're making your job harder. Sorry, Jeff.
Okay.
All right.
So,
I think, so you give this analogy of like a business owner, but not everyone's business owner, but say for instance, you go to your doctor and you say, here's what I'm dealing with. What's your process for getting me better? What's the plan?
Yeah.
And your doctor says, I don't have a plan for your care.
Oh, that's unnerving.
Like, would you stay? Or you're going into surgery and you're like, hey, you're fixing this. What's your plan? And the doctor's like, I'm just going to get in there and see, what happens. Like, how
I got this sport from Taco Bell, and I'm going to use that because that's really neat because it's got a spoon and points.
No. Nobody's staying there.
Hot or mild sauce.
Running. And I feel like it's the same thing. Like, a plan changes everything. It gives order to the chaos.
Ooh, it gives orders to the chaos. It says, chaos, calm down and get on out of here. Take your wings and fly out of here. I like it.
Yeah.
That's good. I like it.
Thank you.
So listen, that's a big deal. Okay. Yeah. So we want to make sure that you have a plan. You must have a plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. You just got to have a plan, that financial plan. And then here's another major money mistake people make. And what is that?
Yep. So it's failing to save and invest.
Oh, I mean, Those are two separate activities. So saving is for safekeeping, investing is for growth and for the future funding of future dreams. And saving, I love Mary Hunt said this. She said, saving prevents future debt. And that's the truth. If you have money, you can pay cash for something that happens. But what investing does is it positions you for financial growth. And I share this at all of our financial teaching events. I show them how $100 a month for 40 years, that's 48 grand invested, $1,200 a year. This is really a pathetic investor, right? They never increased their investment in 40 years. They never got a pay raise in 40 years. They were stuck at 100 for 40 years. That's still almost $1.2 million.
Who doesn't want that?
It's $1,176,477. And that's, I don't know why they don't teach this in school, starting in elementary school. They don't. But it's at work all around us, and so many people have taken advantage of it, but the vast majority have not.
Yeah.
And if you fail to save for safekeeping and preventing future debt and for those emergencies and fail to invest, the dreams aren't going to get funded. You got some thoughts about this, I know.
Yeah, I feel like I've had conversations with friends that are maybe in their 20s, and they just don't see the value and the like, I need to do this now in investing.
Yeah.
You know, saving is like, okay, I need to save for emergencies. Like that one's a little bit easier for them to understand. But the investing part, they're like, oh, I have plenty of time. I don't need to. But it's like you just show the power of compound interest and how time isn't and is on your side, you know, with that.
I will just tell you right now, I made a bunch of terrible financial decisions. If you want to read more about them, just pull up the book, I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, and you'll be able to hear about them. And while I spent every dollar that was brought home, the day I graduated from Purdue University, May 12th, 1996, my job was starting the next day. And it's a place I'd interned at, so I knew the people and stuff, and I was going to start that next day. I graduated on Sunday, going to start on Monday. And I'm the youngest of 6 boys, and my second brother was at my graduation. And he got me by the shoulder and said, Joe, you're going to your job tomorrow. Do yourself a favor and walk into HR and tell them to max out your 401k. And I knew a little bit about 401k. I had been taught a little bit about investing in the power of compound interest. I had read a book as a kid that my dad had bought from a speaker on PBS called David Chilton, a financial author, Canadian author, who wrote a book called The Wealthy Barber. Mm-hmm. And I remember reading it about how this guy felt bad about his barber, his poor, you know, and then he realizes his barber is immensely wealthy because of compound interest. And what I think is interesting in this long-winded story that I'm telling is that I did that. I went to HR the next day and I said, max out my 401k. And that was 15% of my pay. And the HR person looked shocked at me and then looked around like, is anybody listening? And she's like, no one else here is doing that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, I am because my big brother told me to do it. And she's like, okay. And I think the benefit of that moment was I had been making no money.
Right.
So even the money I was bringing home was good.
Yeah.
I thought. And then I spent it all and financed a bunch more. But I started investing that day. And I got dollar for dollar match on 8% of my pay. Wow. And that, for whatever reason, the fact that the government doesn't let you touch your retirement account, you know, all those flaming swords to protect you, that was my saving grace. And so I get to sit here as a person who at 28 years ago, started investing. And people listen to this $100 a month and they want to say, yeah, right, that'll never happen. Where do you get 12%? Well, you know what? That just tells me they don't have financial acumen. And that's why we have this podcast. We want you to know I'm a living witness of it. Yeah. You've been experiencing it for a decade, longer than a decade now, investing, right? Mm-hmm. It's working for you. Yep. It doesn't just work for me.
No.
So,
yes.
Hey, don't fail to save or invest. It's a horrible mistake. All right, here's another one. Last one.
It's a big one. All right. Refusing to accept personal responsibility.
So let's just marinate in that for a minute. A refusal to accept personal responsibility. What does that mean?
You're playing the victim.
There are so many people who are the victim. They will come to me at live events and ask questions, but really they're not there to ask a question. They're telling me all the negative things that have happened to them.
Yeah.
And I listen patiently as I can. You know, there's usually a line of people, and I've got to get to a question at some point in time. Mm-hmm. But what they're really, I can tell they're really looking for me to say, you know what, you're right. You can't win with your money. Mm-hmm. That's just too bad. All that stuff happened to you.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to do that because I'm like, the devil is a liar. Yeah, all that stuff happened, and that really does stink. And yep, you know what? You could play the victim card, but my wiring is to say, hey, today's the first day of the rest of my life, and I'm gonna figure out a way to change this. And here's what I've learned: no one cares about your money as much as you care about it.
Yeah.
Like Jordan and Megan Hibbard family money. Mm-hmm. No one cares about it as much as you care about it.
That's right.
Like if you guys got $100,000 given to you, I mean, I'd be like, yay, that's really nice. That's awesome. But Megan and Jordan, how would you behave if somebody gave you
around the cul-de-sac?
You come on, I'm serious right now. Maybe in a new car, right? But here's what I know. You care about your money more than anybody else.
Right.
And that's because you're wired to it and your heart's connected to it. Mm-hmm. And there's another truth. And what's that?
No one can make good financial decisions for you. Like, you have to make them for yourself.
Like, you're listening to the podcast, and I'm grateful that you're doing that. But Megan can't make those decisions for you. I cannot make those decisions for you. We can help you. We can lead you to it. We can give you exhortations. We can give you stories. We can give you examples. But you ultimately have to make those good financial decisions. Mm-hmm. And refusing to accept personal responsibility to make them, well, that's a problem. And the last thing I'd share here is a lack of financial knowledge is understandable. Like if you lack knowing how to invest, if you lack knowing how to buy a house, if you lack knowing how to budget properly or how to get rid of unwanted debt, that the lack of that knowledge is understandable. They do not teach it. Right. But staying that way without knowledge is totally unacceptable.
Yeah. I think sometimes, a lot of times, I think we make these mistakes maybe without even knowing it. Maybe you know it, but you don't know it, or you're not fully aware of it to the extent. But I think that's why it's so important to have trusted voices you're listening to. You have financial coaches, you have mentors and things like that that are able to point out these blind spots in your finances, because a lot of times if you're the victim, you know this is what's happening, you know. But sometimes maybe you've become numb or blind to the fact that something's occurring because you just don't want to see it.
Yeah.
You know it's happening, but you don't want to acknowledge that it's happening. And that's when a coach or a friend can come in and say, hey, I see this is going on. Let's talk about how we can make steps to, help that.
Those mentors. Yeah. And I will tell you, I've had coaches and mentors in my life say, I see this opportunity. And I'm like, I don't see this opportunity.
Right.
What is that? That's a blind spot.
Yeah.
And they've helped me. And so that's why we founded Fully Funded Life, is to be able to provide that. We encourage you to check out our online membership community. There is a fee. It's about $150 a year or so to be a part of it. But it comes with unlimited coaching, free Zoom appointments with our trained coaches, lots of content and education that's available to you to really help you win with money, and so that you can live that fully funded life. So listen, evaluate these mistakes. Make sure you're not making them. And if you are making them, take those corrective actions today to address them. And we'll see you next Monday with some more helpful tips to help you live your fully funded life. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you've gotten value from this, and I believe you have, click that subscribe button, click that thumbs up, leave a comment, share it with somebody. We want to make sure that this community grows so that we can all together live fully funded lives. Thanks for being a part of our family.